A long shot in off the stick of Esposito. Vasiliev goes back of the net. Cornwallier steals it. A pass in front. Henderson was upended as he tried to shoot it. Here's another shot. Henderson right in. He scores! Henderson!
From the opening seconds of that first game in Montreal to the dramatic closing of the series in Moscow, all of us in Team Canada lived a lifetime of experiences. I'm Paul Henderson, and for me it was the greatest period in my hockey career, moments of drama and excitement, which will be relived time and time again for the rest of my life. This recording has captured the unforgettable highlights of that series. The incomparable coach of Team Canada, Harry Sinden, will outline his game-by-game strategy and will reveal his own personal thoughts as Team Canada progressed from near disaster to unquestioned supremacy. It was truly the series of the century.
The major elements of our plans were: 1, to put as much offensive pressure on the Russians as we could. 2, to play the exact same style of hockey we played in the National Hockey League. 3, to shoot as often as we could and from any angle because their goaltending was questionable. And 4, to be aggressive, but only when we were in position to hit. And 5, and finally, not to do any fighting. That was the plan as the series started in Montreal. We were to change our strategy very quickly and very early. Before the players went on the ice that evening at the Montreal Forum, I talked to them in the dressing room. Outside, over 18,000 fans were pitched to an astonishing degree of anticipation. The tension was almost a living presence, and we knew that this was to be no ordinary series. All the elements were there to make it one of the great sports epics in history. When I talked to the players, I tried to convey some of this. We're going to play it for the people of the country and for hockey. But most of all, I said, we're going to play it for ourselves and our own reputations. That was my final message before the series started. As the players left the dressing room, I could imagine the turmoil that was in their minds. All the hard work of training camp was over. This was it.
This is the moment of truth as Canada in the bright red and white uniforms defending the goal to our right, facing the USSR. In the red and white uniforms, predominantly white, with the red pants and red trim. The Russian team defending the goal to our left, and in at center ice, Vladimir Petrov for the USSR, with Blinov and Mikhailov on the wings, and it's Esposito with Cornwallier and Frank Mahovlich for Canada. Right in front of his own net, Brad Park in his own zone, failing to clear it, but here's Gary Bergman moving it up the center, a pass into Esposito. He's going in with Bergman. Esposito, first shot on goal, just wide in front. Canadians on the attack in the opening seconds of this first period. Cornwallier streaming in there, streaking down the right wing. Cornwallier in front of Park. Oh, right in. Oh, they score!
30 seconds into the first period and Team Canada had taken the lead. It was almost too good to be true. Then moments later it happened again.
Face off to the right of the net. And Bobby Clark with Henderson and Ellis for Canada. Back to Ellis and a score! Henderson!
At this point I should have been elated, and I was, but a nagging concern had started to grow. The Soviet team were playing superb hockey. They were skating fast, carrying the puck with tremendous control, and passing with great accuracy. This wasn't the same team we saw in practice. They were setting a terrific pace, and early in that first game, despite our 2-goal lead, I started to worry. Commentator Bob Cole describes the Soviet comeback.
But the Russians keep it in. Poladyev gets set. His shot block. Poladyev again. Over to the other side. Lyapkin let it go. That went off the leg. Now Poladyev again. Rolled it back of the goal. The Russians with some pressure on. They score! That's great passing. Zeman was the trigger man, but they passed it around until somebody was open, and Evgeny Zeman knocked it in. Luchenko and Kuzkin are the two defensemen to kill the penalty. Team Canada with a man advantage. And now it's the Russians clearing it down. Mikhailov going in on that break. Mikhailov right in. Oh, the rebound. They score! Mikhailov got a break. He was stopped by Dryden, and Vladimir Petrov, following the play, knocked home the rebound, and the Russians score while short-handed, and it's a 2-2 tie.
In the dressing room after that first period, I told the players to stop running all over the place, to play their positions, and to do their own job. They knew as I did that the Soviets were going to be tough to beat. At that point, we couldn't even imagine just how tough it would be. In the second period, we began to appreciate the enormous capabilities of the Soviets, especially a player by the name of Kharlamov.
Here he comes on the right side with Kharlamov going down to center. In over that line, Kharlamov neatly moving in on goal. He scores! Valery Kharlamov on a great rush down the right wing. And for the first time, Russia getting the lead. And it's 3-2. What a great effort by Valery Kharlamov, and he beat Dryden on the stick side.
The second period ended with another goal by Kharlamov, and in the dressing room I knew that I had to make changes. Prior to the game, I had decided on 4 forward lines in order to press our attack. Now I knew that it was our defense that was taking a beating. I dropped the Rattel line and benched defenseman Don Ory in favor of Guy Lapointe. The third period started well, and when Bobby Clark scored halfway through the period to make it 4-3, I thought we could still pull out a win. But the Soviets kept pressing, as described now by commentator Bob Cole.
Here's the face-off, a shot off the goal post. Now down into the corner, Kornweier fighting for possession. Back in front of the net, Frank Mahovlich wheeling around inside that blue line. Back it comes, and the Russians break it up. Blinov speeding away with Mikhailov on the left wing. Mikhailov going in front of that goal. He shoots, he scores! Mikhailov and Blinov on a two-man break, and Mikhailov scoring to give the Russians that 2-goal lead after Canada had come to life and poured the pressure inside that Russian blue line. One break down the ice, and the Russians made no mistake.
Russia's goal scored by number 13, Boris Mikhailov.
Here's another chance with a backhand shot that went up over the net from Yakushev. 5-3 the score. Russia leading with that 2-goal lead again. Zeman coming back in, and Bergman belted him into the boards at the far side, but Zeman is back into the play, giving it to Shadrin, and his shot is wide. Keeping it inside the line, Lyapkin with a drive. Dryden kicked it down in front of the net. Mahovlich couldn't clear it. Now he does. Frank Mahovlich coming along the boards down the left wing. He couldn't get away from Shadrin, and now Zeman back in his own zone. He flipped it back to the corner where Poladiev picks it up for Russia. Down to center ice, Shadrin tipped it ahead. Yakushev couldn't get by his check. But here's Zeman going right in. And he finished another shot. He scores! Zeman catching the Canadians sitting back. And Zeman striking quickly for Russia, and it's 6-3.
In 5 hours, we were back in Toronto, and in the solitude of my hotel room, I faced the torment of our defeat. It was a lonely night as I wrestled with the certain knowledge that our strategy had been wrong. The next day, John Ferguson and myself worked out a new game plan. We knew certain aspects of NHL hockey would have to be abandoned because the Russians were as good in that kind of a game, if not better. We had to get our diggers in there to smash the Soviet attack, to break up their plays, and to stop their rushes before they could get started. The Rattel line wouldn't play in Toronto, and I pulled Don Ory as well. In went Wayne Cashman and Jean-Paul Parizet, Bill Goldsworthy, Stan Mikita, and Serge Savard. To help our defensemen combat the Soviet attack, I planned to have our forwards come back deep and leave the two-point men to be covered by our centermen. This would force the Soviets to shoot from outside instead of in close, where they were so effective in Montreal. That second game in Toronto was perhaps the best of the entire series. Our players played well, the fans were with us, and it was a kind of hockey that you see once in a lifetime. The first period was scoreless. In the second period, Wayne Cashman, who was playing a tremendous game, made the move that was to put us on the scoreboard.
Cashman goes up over the line, and Cashman takes his man to the ice heavily inside the Russian blue line. They're beginning to wrap it up a little bit now. Lutsenko hanging on to Cashman and went down. Now here's Cashman going in for Canada with Esposito. Esposito is knocked down. There's going to be a penalty, I believe, against the Russians. Now Kuzgin lost it. Cashman right in front of the net. They score!
At the end of the second period, the score was 1-0 for Canada. We had outshot the Soviets 26-12, and I felt pretty good, but I told the players that they must not gamble in the third period. Continued to play it the same way and we could win. In the third period, the goals came in rapid succession. Number 2 for Canada, and the first one for the Soviets.
Cornwallis speeding away on his right, and it's Park coming out. Cornwallis breaking on that right wing. He's in all alone. He scores! Fred, they said they wanted to see some speed, and Cornwallis turned it on for him. Zeman back in his own zone, gives it to Paladyev. He goes in around the net, out in front of the goal. Long pass to Zeman. Zeman, a fast skater, in all alone. Shoots, drilled it wide. Rebound to Paladyev. On the other side with Lyapkin, they score!
The score was now 2-1 for Canada, and things started to get a little tense. But I never lost the feeling that night that this would be our game. And I knew it for sure when Peter Mahavlich scored one of the great goals of the season. Bob Cole describes it.
Into the side of the net for Shadburn. They pass that puck around well. Back to the line. Lyapkin has it. Lyapkin works over near the center of the blue line. Cleared it right into the side of the net. Zeman back of the goal. It's centered. Esposito tapped it away with a stick. And it's cleared along the boards, but not out. Russia keeping it in. Now Esposito gets it out to Peter Mahavlich. One man back. It's Paladyev. Mahavlich faked the shot. He's going right in. He scores!
Two minutes later, brother Frank Mahavlich put the game on ice. It was 4-1, and the Toronto fans went wild.
28 left in the hockey game. 3-1 Canada. Cornwallis in front of Nikita. Oh, and he missed a golden opportunity. Nikita set up beautifully by Cornwallis and couldn't pull the trigger. 11:15 left in the third period. Cornwallis ran into Kuzkin back of the net. The Russians regrouping. Nikita forechecking, broke it up. Nikita out to Cornwallis, didn't come off. Nikita has it again in front of Mahavlich. He scored!
Both John Ferguson and myself were very happy after the Toronto win. We had made some drastic changes in strategy after the Montreal disaster, and it had worked. It was a good feeling, and our players were in high spirits. There was one exception. Vic Hadfield, who had been on the Jean Rattel line, which I pulled in Montreal and which hadn't played in Toronto, was upset and threatened to quit. He changed his mind at that point, but I sensed that he wouldn't be with us for the entire series. That was one of the aggravations throughout the 8-game series, how to appease those players who wouldn't be in the lineup for each game. But I had other problems. On September 6th, we met the Soviets for the third time in Winnipeg.
With Esposito forechecking. Now they keep that puck in. A quick backhand shot by Parise was wide. He ran into his check back of the net. Bill White let one go. In front. They score!
Parise's goal made us feel that this was going to be Toronto all over again. Our boys were playing great hockey. So were the Soviets. At 3:16, Petrov tied up the game while his team was shorthanded. But Jean Rattel put us ahead 2-1 just before the period ended. Team Canada was playing well, applying constant pressure, playing their positions as they had done in Toronto. At the start of the second period, we went ahead 3-1.
His check along the boards in the corner on the other side. Parise in front of the goal. Esposito scores! Ashman got it in front for Esposito.
The Soviets came back with their second goal halfway through the period. again when they were shorthanded. They were becoming experts at this, taking the puck from their own end and passing it ahead to a quick breaking forward. After that goal, our players came back hard, and Paul Henderson made it 4-2.
Coming back inside his own blue line, Bill White, number 17, out with Bobby Clark. A long lead pass for Henderson. He's on the move. He scores!
At that point, we felt that we had won our second game of the series, but the Soviets poured it on.
Cashman tried to root it loose and failed. It's out to the line where Vasiliev shoots one. He scores! Vasiliev shooting. It hit LaPointe's skate, I believe, and went into the far corner, and Tony Esposito goes out to say something to LaPointe, giving him a little tap and pep talk. Right in front of the net it comes for Anderson. Back to Budanov. He scores! Budanov getting the pass from Anderson, and it's a tied hockey game, 4-4.
What looked like a certain victory at the beginning had changed with dramatic swiftness. The Soviets were playing with the same poise and vigor as they had when the game started. Our boys were out on their feet and were just hanging on hoping that the game would end with a tie. It did, and we considered ourselves lucky. This was game number 3, and I now knew with certainty that the remaining 5 games would be life and death battles.
And good evening, everybody. The series tied. A victory apiece and a tie in Winnipeg 2 nights ago, 4-4. And here's the 4th game in Canada underway. Team Canada shooting the puck to the...
For the Vancouver game, we changed our lineups again. Dryden was back in goal, and I decided to play Gilles Perreault for the first time in the series. I pulled Cashman because he had such a rough time with the referees in Winnipeg. The Vancouver game was a disaster. Even before we hit the ice, the Vancouver fans were booing, and the players were very upset. The Soviets played as they had in the previous 3 games, consistently and well. Their first 2 goals were by Mikhailov, who is one of their best players around the net.
Over the line, Petrov along the boards. It goes to Lutsenko. He scores! Long shot from just inside the blue line by Lutsenko. Might have been tipped in front of the net. And Petrov is winding up in front of the Russian goal. Comes out over the line, stick handling neatly, hands it over on the left side for Mikhailov, down to Harlamov. Harlamov across that line, stops, looks for somebody clear, gives it to Lutsenko. He scores! Again, it might have been a tip-in type of a goal. We'll wait for the official announcement. But it's another power play effort by Russia at 7:29, and it's 2-0.
In the second period, when we were behind 3-1, Rod Gilbert scored a goal which was disallowed.
Starting out, Canadians on the power play. 30 seconds left in that penalty. Esposito going in. Gave it to Hatfield. Hatfield center to Gilbert. And he kicked that one in. No goal. No goal.
The decision on the Gilbert goal killed the spirit of our players that night. That and the hostile attitude of the Vancouver fans.
For the people across Canada, we tried. We did our best. And for the people that boo us, geez, all of us guys are really disheartened, and we're disillusioned, and we're disappointed in some of the people. We cannot believe the bad press we've got, the booing we've gotten in our own buildings. And if the Russians boo their players, if the Russians boo their players like some of the Canadian fans, I'm not saying all of them, some of them booed us, then I'll come back and I'll apologize to each one of the Canadians, but I don't think they will. I'm really disappointed. I am completely disappointed. I cannot believe it. Some of our guys are really down in the dumps. We know, we're trying. What the hell? I mean, we're doing the best we can, and they got a good team, and let's face facts. But it doesn't mean that we're not giving it our 150%, because we certainly are.
The series now stood at 2 wins for the Soviets, 1 for Team Canada, and a tie. It was on to Russia, where hockey history would be made. September 22, and the 5th game is about to start. Much had happened since leaving Canada. We had spent a few days in Sweden where Wayne Cashman was hospitalized with a lacerated tongue, and 3 of our players, Rick Martin, Vic Hadfield, and Josh Gouvernement, had decided to quit the team and return home. It was a real body blow, but fortunately, their departure solidified the remaining players. We were all ready for that 5th game. The players felt good, and there was no doubt about the 3,000 Canadian fans who jammed the Soviet stadium. It was a great moment as we went through the opening ceremonies, waiting for the opening face-off. Midway through the first period, we drew first blood.
Stapleton takes it near the side of the net, moves it up to Perrault. He gets it down to Gilbert, and Parise catching up with Perrault. Perrault going in, beautiful move, right around goal. Parise, goal! Gilbert Perrault putting on a dazzling display of stick handling, spotting Parise free, taking the goaltender, getting it back to Parise. And he gives Canada a 1-0 lead, and the Canadian bench is really giving young Gilbert Perrault quite a rousing as he comes to the bench. What a play by Perrault.
In the second period, Bobby Clark made it 2-0, and then Paul Henderson, one of the greatest competitors in the game, came through with our 3rd tally.
Back to Ellis. Ellis shoots, and he just grazed the post with a low drive. Now Gila point, pick a shot, they score! Henderson knocking it in.
When our players came on the ice for the 3rd period, we all felt pretty good. We had a 3-goal lead, and up to this point, Team Canada dominated the play. Then the Soviets scored their first goal, but Paul Henderson came back for his 2nd goal of the night, making it 4-1 for Team Canada. Then we fell apart.
His own rebound comes out near the boards. Long shot by Liapkin. They score! Liapkin took the shot, and Anderson tipped it in.
That 3rd period was a nightmare. Going into the 3rd period, we had a 3-goal lead, and now, minutes later, the Soviets had scored number 4, and it was all tied up. We were completely outplayed in that 3rd period, and I had a sinking feeling that we couldn't even count on a tie.
Inside his own blue line, then last it. Nicolau gets a break, going in, and he scores!
After that game, I was so upset I went straight to the coach's room. Fergie and I stayed there until our players had left for their hotel. It was one of the most aggravating evenings of my life, and I just didn't want to talk to anyone, least of all the players. Before the 2nd game in Moscow, we had another shock. Gilles Perrault decided to quit the team. But that was the last of the defections. In that 2nd game, the 1st period was scoreless. Dryden was back in goal and played a tremendous game. Dennis Hull was on the line with Rattel and Gilbert, and everything was falling into place. The Soviets scored first early in the 2nd period. Then our boys came right back.
Shot. Now the Canadians, 3 of them going down. Gilbert with Bill White and Esposito. Gilbert took the shot, got the rebound right in, and stopped by Petyak. Another shot. They score! Dennis Hull finally jamming it in, and it's a 1-1 tie. And here's Parise with that puck. It comes back to White. White into Cornvoyer. Cornvoyer back to Stapleton. Here's the drive. And that was deflected by Petyak. Another shot. They score!
This was a new game. Our players were performing in superb fashion, and I just had that feeling we were going to win.
And 2-1 it is, Canada leading. Berenson giving it to Cornvoyer, and Cornvoyer making no mistake from close in, but he's been really flying in this 2nd period. And here's Paul Henderson now going in. Henderson took the shot, he scores!
We were scoring the goals, but we were fighting not only the Soviet team, but the referees as well. I have never seen such malicious refereeing in my entire hockey career. It was unbelievable, and our players were so incensed that I doubted whether I could keep them under control. This is when Fergie received a bench penalty.
On the fly, onside, and the Canadian bench is going wild. They didn't like that call. Parise taking the pass. Well, there's a guy I wouldn't like to have on my back, I'll tell you, at the best of times. But John Ferguson, as we've all come to know him, just a great, great competitor. And he's still hollering away at that referee. Pretty tough for a guy who's been used to playing hockey and being right in the middle of it, having to sit back and not being able to do a thing about it. 2:30 left to play in the period, 3-2, Canada leading. And Ivan Cormier booted it in behind the goal. Ragulin turned him around. Esposito tied up Sigankov. Mikhailov comes back in his own zone for Ragulin on the other side. Esposito and Ragulin hit heavily, and Esposito comes back up. Ragulin has his arms around Esposito. This is the biggest of the Soviet hockey players. Esposito going after Ragulin, and when you hit that big fella, looking at him last night in the Russian dressing room, oh boy. With 2:14 left to play in the second period, and Canada leading 3-2. They're penalized again. These are the 7th and 8th penalties called against Canada. Esposito getting 5 minutes for high sticking on Ragulin. Ragulin was cut over the eye. And also a bench penalty to Team Canada, 2 minutes. 17:46 the time of the penalties. So Canadians now have to face the Russians. They're shorthanded by 2.
The second period ended 3-2 in our favor, and my own fear then was that the players, uptight over the refereeing, might blow the last period through sheer frustration and anger. But they didn't, and we won the game because our players went back and outplayed the Soviets with skill and determination. After the last game, the telegrams started to pour in from Canada. Thousands of them, and we started to appreciate how Canadians were feeling. It was a great boost for morale, and when our players went on the ice for that 7th game, I'm sure that every one of them knew he was playing for Canada. Phil Esposito opened the scoring at the 4-minute mark.
Full strength again. Henderson into Ellis in the corner. Ellis centered Esposito right in, he scores!
At the halfway mark in the first period, Yakashev evened the score, and 6 minutes later they moved ahead 2-1 with a goal by Petrov. A minute later, Esposito scored his second goal.
Ready to go to the right of the Russian net. 2-1 Russia leading. And it's Parise along the boards. Back for Esposito. Out to the line. Savard fooled one man. Malsev going to be a penalty. Here's a shot. They score!
The second period was scoreless, and we moved into the third, 2 goals apiece. Then the Rattel line came through for Canada.
Gilbert stick in front to Rattel, and he was tied up. Gilbert gets it again, comes in front, he scores!
The Soviets came back 3 minutes later with a goal by Yakashev, and the game was tied 3-3. We had 15 minutes left, and for me, each one was agony. Then the great Paul Henderson scored one of the most exciting goals I have ever seen.
Tie him up. Savard gets it away for Henderson, coming down alone. Henderson up near the line. 4 Russians there. Henderson going in, he scores! Henderson on a fantastic effort against 4.
The series was now tied, 3 wins each and a tie. I predicted that the final game would be the greatest hockey game ever played, and it was. I have never experienced such emotion, from blinding fury to uncontrollable joy. The scoring started close to the 4-minute mark in the first period, and that was followed by the Jean Parise incident.
Team Canada playing 2 men short. Bill White has 1:05 left in his penalty. Peter Mahavlich 1:40. Now it's Yakushev going in with Shadron. Yakushev on the left wing boards to the right of Ken Dryden, working it back to Lutchenko. Liapkin Played it over in front. There's a shot. Rebound. He scores! Yakushev got the goal, standing in front of Dryden. Dryden had made 2 stops, but the Russians were all around him, and Yakushev knocked it in at 3:34. Face-off in the neutral zone just outside the Russian blue line. Malsev against Phil Esposito. The teams are 5 aside. Pete Mahovlich has a minute left in his penalty. Lutchenko played it on the boards at the far side for Vikulov. Back to Malsev, and he was belted just inside the line. We're going to get another penalty to Team Canada. This is going to be Parise. Here's a misconduct. And Parise's beside himself. He's being thrown out. He waved his stick at the official, and he's being thrown out of the game.
Parise's rush on the referee was unwarranted, but he was provoked beyond all reason by Kampala, who had already called 3 interference plays in the opening minutes of the first period. That was 1 more than for the previous 7 games. It was 10 minutes before the game got underway, but our players were now determined to give it everything they had.
Couldn't handle it in front of the net. Now Henderson is spun around in the corner by Lutchenko. Comes back to the line. Parkman, a shot goal. The rebound. He scores!
A few minutes later, the Soviets moved ahead again, and then Brad Park tied it up with a great goal 3 minutes before the end of the first period.
Dennis Hull backhands it into the right of the net. Sigankov going after it. He has it. Gives it to Malsev. Malsev starting out slowly. Now a long pass stopped by Bergman. He tried to hit Harlamov at center ice. He's back on. Rod Gilbert was stopped by Harlamov. And at center, it's Park bringing it back in with Rattel. And Dennis Hull back to Park. He scores! Well, Brad Park has been playing a whale of a defensive game in this first period, Fred. And oh boy, did he ever set up an offensive play that time as he went in with Rattel. Got the relay back from his teammate of the New York Rangers. And when he got that close to the net, up she goes over Tretiak's shoulder.
Early in the second period, Shadrin scored for the Soviets. And then Gilbert and Bill White made a great play to bring us even once more.
Now Rod Gilbert gets set. Doesn't take that shot. Now he gets set. There's the drive. They score! Bill White scoring for Team Canada, and it's 3-3.
Before the second period ended, the Soviets scored 2 more goals, and we trailed 5-3. In the dressing room, I told our players, we've got to get one back quickly, but don't gamble to do it. To fall 3 goals behind would mean certain defeat.
Pete Mahovlich.
And that's the way it worked as the third period got underway.
Blinov is stopped by Bill White. Now it's Pete Mahovlich trying to get loose down the right wing. Up over the line, he has Esposito with him. Peter Mahovlich with that puck, tried to center it. Esposito hammered at it. He scored!
At the 13-minute mark, Yvan Cornoyer got the equalizer. We were battling all the way, the kind of comeback that a coach can only expect to see once in a lifetime.
The score tied 5-5. It was 2-2 at the end of the first period, 5-3 for Russia at the end of the second. And now Team Canada huddled together in front of Kenny Dryden. That's a new one. The 5 of them, led by Esposito, has been leading this team all along. 1 minute left to go, a 5-5 tie. This is the tie-breaking game. You couldn't get it any closer. Savard at his own blue line.
And then, with the game tied and less than 40 seconds to go, the miracle happened.
Was upended as he tried to shoot it. Here's another shot. Henderson right in. He scores! Henderson! And Kenny Dryden, I've never seen a goaltender go that far from one end of the ice to the other, over 200 feet, all the way. The team officials are over the board. Henderson has got to be the hero of the entire nation now. 34 seconds left. They got a 6-5 lead. Can they hang on? It's almost unbelievable coming from behind against this really fine Soviet hockey team. It was 5-3, Fred, going into this period. Esposito scored at 2:27. Cornway at 12:56. And now Henderson, who was the hero of the seventh game, scoring with just 34 seconds left. Esposito will undoubtedly get an assist. He has been given an assist, I understand, and he was in there fighting for it, but Henderson was the man who knocked it in. Face off at center ice now. Team Canada leading 6-5. It goes back to the Russian blue line. Kruzkin going back for it. Gives it to Gusev. Gusev a pass on the right side. Mikhailov. He shoots it in. 20 seconds left. Bill White trying to clear it. Gets it through the middle down the ice. It's wide of the net, and it's not called icing. Somebody could play it. 12 seconds left to go. Russia on the move. Here they come. Petrov coming out. And it's Gusev trying to get a long shot away. Off the board. Dryden takes it. 3 seconds left. The series is over. The fans here from Canada are going wild. It's all over. Canada coming from behind in the third period here in this eighth game to win the game, scoring 3 times, 6-5. And
What else is there to say? Never again will there be a series like that one. There will be other games, other players, but the world will always remember the Canada-Soviet hockey series of 1972. I am full of gratitude for the players on Team Canada, the management, and for my assistant coach, John Ferguson. All of us shared the experience of a lifetime.